Under the House bill, those who can afford to buy insurance but don't, can afford to do it but don't, pay a fine. And if they refuse to pay a fine, there's a threat, as there is with lots of tax fines, there's a threat of jail time. Now, the Senate removed that provision in the Senate Finance Committee. Do you think it's appropriate to have a threat of jail time for those who refuse to buy insurance?
You know, what I think is appropriate is that in the same way that everybody has to get auto insurance, and if you don't, you're subject to some penalty.
Hello again. Okay, well, you just saw right there. Yeah, so Obama says, just like with auto insurance, that if you can afford the insurance and you don't buy health insurance, that you should suffer some penalty. Okay? Well, you know, auto insurance. They made it a law you had to have auto insurance, but they never protected the people from the auto insurance companies. So the auto insurance companies could hike the rates and make themselves rich off the people. And if the people didn't pay what they wanted them to pay, then you use that against them to punish them. Take their license, put them in jail, what have you. I can respect having to have auto insurance, but I could also respect that if you're going to make it a law to have auto insurance, you should have protected the people from the auto insurance, and there should have been some kind of thing set up to where you based how much they paid off, how much they make. That's right. Okay? But they didn't do that, now did they? That's right, because they didn't care. Well, Obama's health care insurance policy, for one, the government don't have any business writing health care insurance for anybody. Okay? That's called the government wanting to control your life. Well, you heard what Obama said. There should be some penalties, right? Let me show you something else Obama has to say.
On the other hand, I think it's important for us not to be so punitive that people who are having a hard time suddenly find themselves worse off because of health care reform, and that's why we built in some hardship exemptions. There may be situations, relatively rare, where even after the subsidies that are provided, it's still very hard for people to afford to get the health insurance that they need, and we should.
There may be situations, relatively rare, where it could be hard for somebody to buy health insurance. In a country where Obama and staff, your government, has sent jobs overseas. In a country where Obama and staff, that's right, and bankers and Bush, want me to go on? Took and made bailout money and stimulus plans and shipped the money overseas. Who didn't bring no jobs back to the people, but continues to try to lie to you and tell you they see turnaround when they see no jobs, because there is going to be no jobs brought back to the people. So you're going to make a mandatory health care insurance in a country where you have created major unemployment and you have put people out of work that can't even get jobs. Then you're going to order them to pay for something they couldn't pay for to begin with because you took their money out of their pocket. You made them broke. You made sure they couldn't get another job. Then you turn around and tell them that they're going to pay you health insurance. Out of what? Out of your looks? No. Or there'll be a penalty. Oh, that's right. They'll go to jail, right? That's right. So what you've done is you set people up so that you could put them behind bars, so that you could put them in prison and turn them into slaves and get free labor on them. That's what you've done. How is that? Well, I want you to think about the unemployment across this country. I want you to think about the homeless cities, the tents that have been popping up everywhere, the shelters. I want you to think about the real scenario here. All these people that can't get a job because so many are looking and there is no jobs. So, you're unemployed, you can't get a job. Then, the very same person who's supposed to be your president, that took stimulus plan money to bring jobs back to your country and sent it overseas to foreigners and didn't give you no jobs back, is going to tell you now that you're going to pay him money for health care insurance, that you couldn't pay him one red penny because you're flat busted while he's sitting up there lining his pockets off the fucking bankers, okay? Then they're going to tell you, well, then we're going to put you in jail. That's right. Of course they are. They want you in prison. They want everybody in prison in this country. I told you Obama's Adolf Hitler. I told you he works for the bankers, just like Adolf Hitler did. He's on his knees. He's not a real man. Hell, he's not even legal to be president in this country to begin with. But you people are too stupid to stand up for yourselves, and you're going to allow this to happen. So for all you people that want to keep turning your back, they're unemployed, you should enjoy this then. Because when you can't pay it, and then they fine you and you can't pay that because you're unemployed, then they put you in prison and you get to do free labor, slave. Okay, slave? Because that's what they want. They want you to be slaves for the bankers. See, when you're in prison, they get to make lots and lots and lots of money off of your head and give you jack squat. That's right. They give you jack squat. But don't worry, you're being punished. You're being punished for your government making you unemployed. You're being punished for not only that, you're being punished because your government made you unemployed and you couldn't get another job because they took all your jobs away from you. And then you're being punished because you didn't have money to pay them, the bankers. So that the bankers could still continue to get richer and richer and richer off of your work while they sit on their dead ass and do absolutely nothing, just expect you to support their lazy behinds. And you people are stupid enough to support their lazy behinds. You wouldn't support the bum down the street that refused to get a job, would you? But you'll support the bum Rothschilds, the bum Rockefellers, won't you? You'll support them low-life bums, serial killer, twisted, sick-in-the-head fucks, won't you? Because that's who's running Obama. Obama's not running this country. Bush didn't run this country. Reagan didn't run this country. Clinton didn't run this country. Carter didn't run this country. You want me to go on? Nixon, Ford, none of them run this country. The bankers do. Federal Reserve, bankers. You understand? So now they've set you up. They have set you up. That's what this health care bill is about. Setting you up. So they can put you behind bars. So they can get their free slave labor from you slaves. Understand me, slaves? So if you're unemployed, remember, you're soon going to be a slave in prison. Because they're going to protect you like they did with auto insurance. That's right. They're going to protect you from the auto insurance companies, right? No, they didn't. They allowed them to charge whatever they wanted, pretty much. They didn't go by income, and they used it against you to punish you. Healthcare insurance. Took your jobs away, made sure you couldn't find one. Told you if you couldn't buy their healthcare insurance with no money because you're unemployed, that you'd go to prison. Big setup, people. I hope you enjoy being a slave. Think about what I said. To the next video, you have a good one, and watch the rest of this clip.
Under the House bill, those who can afford to buy insurance but don't, can afford to do it but don't, pay a fine. And if they refuse to pay a fine, there's a threat, as there is with lots of tax fines, there's a threat of jail time. And the Senate removed that provision in the Senate Finance Committee. Do you think it's appropriate to have a threat of jail time for those who refuse to buy insurance?
You know, what I think is appropriate is that in the same way that everybody has to get auto insurance, and if you don't, you're subject to some penalty, that in this situation, if you have the ability to buy insurance, it's affordable, and you choose not to do so, forcing you and me and everybody else to subsidize you, there's a $1,000 hidden tax that families all across America are burdened by because of the fact that people don't have health insurance. There's nothing wrong with a penalty. Now, what those penalties are, I think they have to be high enough that people don't game the system. On the other hand, I think it's important for us not to be so punitive that people who are having a hard time suddenly find themselves worse off because of health care reform, and that's why we built in some hardship exemptions. There may be situations, relatively rare, where even after the subsidies that are provided, it's still very hard for people to afford to get the health insurance that they need. And we should anticipate and build in those hardship exemptions. But but I think the general broad principle is simply that people who are paying for their health insurance aren't subsidizing folks who simply choose not to until they get sick and then suddenly they expect free health insurance. That's a basic concept of responsibility that I think most Americans abide by.
But as the Senate puts its final bill together, and as the House and Senate prepare to vote on after the conference committee,
Yeah.
they should know: does the president think jail time is an appropriate?
Well, I'm not sure that's the biggest question
No,
that
but
they're
it's a
asking
question.
right now.
It's a
so
question.
I think I put out the principle that penalties are appropriate for people who try to free ride the system and force others to pay for their health insurance.
Okay. I know you